Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Today, we're diving into a critical issue that will shape America's fiscal future, the 2025 budget framework. Recently, both the House of Representatives and the Senate passed budget proposals with a significant influence from President Donald Trump's economic agenda, as we've seen while he was on the campaign trail all last year. It definitely has some key highlights I want to point out. But as you may know, these budgets have sparked a lot of discussion, and their impacts could be felt across various sectors of our economy. We'll break down the core components of this House and Senate budget. We'll analyze the recently passed Trump budget framework in the House and discuss the potential pros and cons of this budget. So if you have a moment, stick around for a comprehensive understanding of these proposals and what they mean for you and me. So first, in late February 2025, the House of Representatives passed a budget resolution that largely aligns with President Donald Trump's priorities. Here's a quick breakdown. So let's kind of look at the meat and potatoes of the matter. Number one, tax cuts and economic growth. Big piece. The House proposed extending and expanding the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. This plan could reduce taxes by approximately $4.5 trillion over the next decade. Advocates argue that these cuts will stimulate investment and job creation. Number two, let's look at the spending cuts. The House budget calls for $1.7 trillion in spending reductions. The key area of focus is mandatory spending programs like Medicaid, which would see a reduction up to $880 billion. These cuts aim to reduce the federal deficit. Number three, let's look at the impact on that deficit. However, critics argue that the proposed tax cuts without corresponding spending reductions could lead to an increase in national debt. Estimates suggest that the House budget would result in a $5.1 trillion increase in debt over the next 10 years. In contrast, the Senate's budget, passed in April 2025, takes a more cautious approach. Tax policy. The Senate's proposal focuses on making certain aspects of the 2017 tax cuts permanent rather than introducing new ones. This is seen as a more moderate approach, reducing the immediate fiscal pressure. Another thing would be the spending allocations. While the Senate's budget also allocates significant funds for defense and border security, it avoids the drastic cuts to social programs that the House has proposed. The overall spending increases are more controlled, with an eye on avoiding extreme cuts to the welfare programs. Let's look at debt and deficit projections. Similar to the House, the Senate's budget also anticipates a rise in the national deficit. It's projected to be slightly less severe, with an increase of $5.8 trillion by 2034. Trump's proposed budget, which passed the House on April 10th, 2025, the overarching theme is clear: bold tax cuts, security enhancements, and economic stimulation. The tax cuts and economic growth that is embedded in this, Trump's budget calls for $4.5 trillion tax cuts over the next decade, with an emphasis on lowering corporate taxes. It is intended to spur investment, job creation, and economic expansion. However, experts warn that without spending cuts to match, this could further exacerbate the federal deficit, kind of like that trickle-down economics. On border and security, much like the Senate, the Trump budget allocates substantial resources to defense and border security. This move aims to strengthen national security and reduce immigration, reflecting Trump's long-standing priorities. I think we're trying to keep it with China because most of their money's going to the military. Let's look at energy. A key feature of the Trump budget is increased funding for domestic energy exploration. By expanding energy production, the U.S. could reduce its reliance on foreign oil, create jobs, and boost the economy. So what's the pros and the cons of two? Economic growth. Let's look at that. Let's think about that first. Tax cuts could stimulate business growth, potentially leading to job creation and higher wages. Let's see what else. National security. Increased defense, border security funding could improve safety, protect national interests, right? Energy independence. Increased focus on domestic energy could reduce dependence on foreign sources and create new jobs in the energy sector. What are some of the cons of this budget proposal? Increased debt, which it seems like both parties don't get right. Without corresponding tax cut over the areas, these tax cuts would push the national debt to unsustainable levels, adding to the trillions in borrowing. Social programs, as with the House budget, significant cuts to mandatory programs, including Medicaid, could harm low-income Americans who rely on these programs for health care and support. Income inequality. Some people argue that these tax cuts disproportionately benefit the wealthy, potentially widening the income gap and fueling social unrest. Now let's just teeter-totter look at an analysis between both. We can compare all three, the House, Senate, and Trump budgets. The tax policies, the House is aggressive in expanding tax cuts, while the Senate takes more of a cautious approach. Trump's budget is in line with the House's focus on heavy corporate tax cuts. So look at the spending priorities. The House pushes for substantial cuts in social welfare programs, such as Medicaid. The Senate is more moderate, with the focus on defense and border security. Trump's budget also emphasizes defense and energy mainly. So what's the impact on the deficit? Both the House and Trump's budgets are projected to increase the deficit by trillions of dollars, while the Senate budget attempts to a more balanced approach to spending and cuts, which again, I allude to, both parties over the years have added to the deficit. So let's bring it back to you and I, the everyday Americans. For taxpayers, while tax cuts can offer short-term relief, you may face long-term consequences such as higher debt and potential cuts to essential services. For healthcare recipients, significant cuts to Medicaid and other social programs could make healthcare less accessible for millions, especially with low-income individuals and families. About the job market, job seekers. The proposed tax cuts and focus on energy exploration could lead to new job opportunities, economic expansion, and stimulation. But these benefits might not be equally distributed, and it's important to consider who stands to benefit most from these changes. So moving forward, how can we stay informed and make decisions out of all this? As these budget proposals continue to evolve, it's crucial to stay informed, engage with your representatives, stay updated on legislative developments, and ensure your voice is heard in the policymaking process. These budget resolutions will ultimately determine how government resources are allocated, how much tax you pay, and what services you can rely on. The choices we have to make today can only have, lasting impacts on the next generation. So while the 2025 budget proposals aim to boost economic growth, enhance national security, they also come with potential drawbacks, such as increased debt and cuts to social programs. By understanding these proposals and how they might affect you, we can all make more informed decisions about our personal finances and the future of our country. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insightful breakdowns of critical issues. Until next time, take care.